Hello, my lovely nerds. My name is Cryptic Kitten, and I'm here to talk to you about the magical, the mythical, and the macabre in folklore, mythology, and the media. Today's tale is about Aradia, who is said to be the daughter of Lucifer and Diana, the Queen of Witches. Aradia was popularized by American folklorist Charles Godfrey Leland in his book Aradia, or the Gospel of the Witches, in 1899. Although Leland states and is arguably believed that he was actually given the book by a woman named Madalena, and was used as a genuine religious text by a group of witches in Tuscany, Italy, although it has not actually been confirmed for this to be proven. Historically, Aradia is seen as either a real-life messiah or a supernatural being that is a culmination of different beliefs and has multiple names. The folklorist Sabrina Magliocco actually has theorized that prior to being in Leland's gospel, Aradia can be traced down to a figure named Sarajusta in Sardinia. And Sarajusta was seen to be merged by a figure named Saraha Demoniu, aka Araha the Demon, and Saraha Justa, aka Araha the Just. Sarajusta is also known as Erode, or Mama Erodas, and is said to be the patroness of fairies in Sardinia. Sarajusta is said to be the leader of the process of the dead on All Hallows, and is said to snatch children if food is not left out for her, or who enters homes through keyholes to make sure that the unmarried girls were staying in line and doing their housework and spinning their thread. And this actually has a few similarities to the Kikimora in Slavic folklore, and I'll leave a link to my video down below of the Kikimora. Another name for Aradia is Herodias, or Herodiade, and is actually referred to as Herodiade by Diana and Leland's Gospel. According to Judica Iles in her Encyclopedia of Spirits, it is said that, quote, although venerated elsewhere in Europe, Herodias was especially beloved in Italy. She and Diana are the goddesses most frequently mentioned in the witch child transcripts and were apparently worshipped together. In Strigaria, a Wiccan-inspired tradition founded by Raven Grimassi includes Aradia and describes her as Aradia di Tuscano, who led a group of Diana-worshipping witches in 14th century Tuscany. And with this, Aradia is seen as a real-life messiah rather than a folkloric or mythological being. Aradia, or the Gospel of the Witches, is a tale that begins with the birth of Aradia. The parents of Aradia are Lucifer, the fallen angel, who in this story is the god of light, as well as the sun and the moon, who was so proud of his beauty that his pride drove him away from paradise. And Aradia's mother is Diana. Diana is the goddess of wild animals and the hunt in Roman religion. She was invoked by women to aid in conception and delivery. She was also considered the protector of the lower class, especially slaves. She is also most famously and importantly considered the goddess of the moon. She is considered an aspect of the triple goddess alongside Luna, the moon goddess, and Hecate, who was associated with witchcraft, magic, necromancy, and ghosts. The conception of Aradia goes as follows. So Diana knew that Lucifer slept with his cat every single night. And so, because Diana was so attracted to Lucifer's light, knowing that she was an aspect of the dark, she craved Lucifer's light and therefore turned herself into a cat so that she can sleep next to Lucifer. But with Lucifer still being a fallen angel, Diana goes to the Masters of Creation and asks what she can do in order to repent for her sins for sleeping with Lucifer. And I just want to iterate that she doesn't seem to have sexual relations with Lucifer. She literally just sleeps next to Lucifer, but this is still considered a sin. So the Masters of Creation tell Diana that the child that she is bearing, Aradia, must go to Earth and give strength to those oppressed by Christianity. Having Aradia spread the teachings of Diana through astrology, magic, nature, the creatures of the universe, the power of the moon, divination, the ability to heal allies, the ability to curse enemies, and also the ability to bring abundance. And when Aradia goes down to earth, she does in fact spread these teachings to those oppressed by Christianity. Aradia is described as very beautiful and charming, and because of this actually attracts the attention of a king. But Aradia actually rejects the king's advances, believing that being married to this king would take away some of her power and cause her to not be as much of a widespread and powerful messenger as she wants to be. But Diana tells Aradia that if the king truly does love her, he's not going to take away her power. And in real life, I personally believe that is a very strong indicator that someone that you are with is healthy for you when you, as an independent person, feel that you can still be strong, you can still be powerful, you can still be a balance of feminine and masculine energy without having to compromise any of those. But another very smart piece of advice that Diana gives Aradia is that with her new position as queen, her power would echo through lifetimes as it does today. We are still learning about Aradia, and her teachings are still very much important to us today. And what is fantastic about this story is that Aradia does become an equal queen to the king. He does not take away her power, and in fact allows her to spread her message as much, if not more, than she was originally. But Aradia does go back to a Diana eventually, and because of this, anytime anyone invokes Aradia, they will actually be able to gain her strength, such as the aforementioned being able to heal your allies and curse your enemies, and any other types of magic that are meant to empower you. And because of this, Aradia is the queen of the black sheep, the outcasts, the rebels, those in the closet in any way that you want to interpret that, and those that feel lost. I do want to shout out this channel because she was one of the resources that I researched when I was learning about Aradia, and she does a very great job describing the Gospel of Aradia. And she is also an Italian witch who was literally born learning about Aradia. And like she describes, I didn't know about Aradia until recently, within the last few months. And I really feel that Aradia's story should still be heard. But another thing that this creator teases in her video is that Sabrina is kind of based off of Aradia. And we know that with my channel, I like to bring folklore mythology into today's pop culture. So I did some research also about the chilling adventures of Sabrina and the kind of correlations that they have together. Because obviously with a lot of folklore and mythology in the media, it is a rendition of it, but it by no means ever really the exact story of the folklore mythology. Maybe besides Until Dawn and the Wendigo. I'll link below my video of Until Dawn and the Wendigo because I believe that the correlations are actually fairly decently accurate. But let's get into Sabrina a little bit. I don't know how you guys felt about Sabrina. I didn't really make it past the first season, to be honest. So this is going to be more of a summarization of it. But one thing I do want to say, I believe that the show Wednesday is what Sabrina wanted to be as far as storyline, because Wednesday is a very much well-received show. And I had high expectations for Sabrina personally, and I believe Wednesday was a better atmosphere. The characters were a little bit better. I don't believe the actors were necessarily bad in Sabrina, but the writing just wasn't as great as Wednesday. But anyways, Sabrina is a teenage witch that is the daughter of a warlock named Edward and a mortal named Diana. She lives with her two aunts and her cousin and her little kitty Salem.
Calling in the woods. And I came.
And we find out later in the show that Sabrina's real father is actually Lucifer Morningstar. One character that I do want to start with is the demon Lilith, aka Madame Satan. And just like the real Lilith was the first wife of Adam, but when she refused to submit to Adam, she was banished from the Garden of Eden by God. Lilith eventually encounters Lucifer, who she healed the wounds of when he had lost his wings after being a fallen angel. And after doing this, becomes one of the first witches. Lilith's basic motive in the show is to lure Sabrina into becoming Satan's new right-hand witch. and wants to rule the underworld herself. And in folklore, in Leland's Gospel of the Witches, he actually suspects that Aradia, also known as Herodias, is actually an early form of Lilith. Leland quotes, "This was not derived from the Herodias of the New Testament, but from an earlier replica of Lilith from the same name." Pipernus and other writers have actually noted the evident identification of Herodias, aka Aradia, as Lilith. So I theorize that Sabrina and Lilith are both a culmination and a separation of Aradia and Lilith. And like I said, in the show, Sabrina's mother is named Diana. And even though Diana in the show is immortal, it's really hard to not come to the conclusion that not only is Aradia's mother Diana, but Sabrina's mother is Diana. And not only is Sabrina's father, Lucifer, obviously Aradia's father is also Lucifer, even though it is said in the show in the beginning that his name's Edward. So there is a little bit of evidence that Sabrina is kind of a similar figure as Aradia. I mean, also, if you think about it, in the show, Sabrina is a very caring person to her friends. Although she can be stubborn at times, she is also very strong-willed and a very powerful witch. I actually do want to see more of Aradia in popular culture because I believe that she is a very important figure in not only Wicca and pagan religions, but even if you just think of her as a messiah, a leader, someone who gives power back to the oppressed, she is a very strong and powerful figure in folklore. And because Aradia is so powerful and revolutionary, she is deemed a very important figure in pagan religions. However, also in pagan religions, people don't tend to take very kindly to Leland's rendition of Aradia. Actually, according to Raven Grimasi, Leland's Aradia, or the Gospel of the Witches, is a distorted Christianized version of the story of Aradia. Although current historians and folklorists still can't really either prove or deny the story of Aradia, we can find Aradia's name in different pagan religions, such as Stragaria. What we can't deny is that, especially in neo-paganism, Aradia is such a prominent figure. In the 1960s, Alex Sanders invoked Aradia as the moon goddess. Janet and Stuart Farrer, I can't roll my R's, used her name in the 8 Sabbats for Witches and the Witch's Way. Aradia was also invoked in spellcraft in Z. Budapest's The Holy Book of Women's Mysteries. Portions of Leland's texts influenced the Gardnerian's Book of Shadows. So let's actually talk a little bit about paganism itself. Paganism is a non-authoritarian religion, with the term being first used in the 4th century by Christians for people in the Roman Empire who practiced polytheism and ethnic religions outside of Judaism. Pagans believe that nature is sacred and that the natural cycles of birth, growth, and death observed in the world around us carry profoundly spiritual meanings. Neo-paganism is a term for a religion or family of religions influenced by various historical pre-Christian beliefs of pre-modern peoples in Europe and adjacent areas. The multiple types of paganisms include Wicca, Roman polytheism, Celtic Druidism, Nordic paganism, Hellenism, the goddess movement, and etc. Neo-paganism is full of rituals, magic, festivals, much like the original paganism, and has grown popular also through the decline of Christianity, and that's good or bad depending on who you ask. I wanted to talk more about witchcraft and Wicca in modern times because to me it's very fascinating. On Instagram, TikTok, and stores, it seems very much like young people, millennials, and Gen Z are adopting Wicca beliefs and witchcraft on a rapid and large scale. And I'm not mad about this at all. I consider myself a witch. I feel like a big part of my spiritual journey was learning about Wicca and witchcraft. And I don't really see this as much of a phenomenon just because it just makes sense why we are so attracted to it. Those before us, our parents, grandparents, their grandparents, especially in America, they were very much influenced by Christianity. A lot of us were. And maybe not necessarily Christianity specifically, but Western religions that revolve around monotheism. Not to say that pagans and Wiccans and witches cannot practice worshiping one god or goddess, but it's just more common in these religions. Pretty much anything you can think of, a god or goddess or some type of deity can be associated with this. And also, if you think about it on a quantum level, when there are so many different dimensions, who's to say that not all of these things can exist simultaneously? We literally don't know what's out there. And it would be hard for me to believe that there's only one deity that's out there when there are literally an infinite amount of dimensions. That's why I'm also very huge on cryptozoology and mythology, because maybe they literally do exist, but just in a way that we cannot perceive it. When people, millennials and Gen Z, are feeling very much powerless and being grown up in a world where things seem like they're happening to us and not for us, why wouldn't we choose a religion that literally makes it to where we are the bearers of power? We have the ability to change our destiny. We have the ability within us to seize what is ours. That's why, to me, the story of Aradia is so powerful, and is why it's interesting to me that she's not more widely known. She is literally one of the first witches to come to Earth and spread these teachings to people who were oppressed by Christianity. I myself, having a fair amount of religious trauma, really can look up to Aradia and really invoke her power. But not only her, but Diana, Hecate, Luna. There are so many gods and goddesses throughout multiple cultures that are teaching us these things. I haven't felt, growing up in Western religions, a sense of power of anything. I felt so powerless and believed that certain things about myself that are natural and inherent within me are sins or things that would cause me to go to hell. I just really appreciate, and I can speak for a lot of people, that Wicca and paganism and witchcraft are very important because it allows us to be ourselves. So the next time you feel oppressed, the next time you feel powerless, the next time that you feel lost, invoke the power of Aradia. She is here to teach you that all the strength you need is within you. And with that, thank you guys so much for watching this video today. I can't wait for the videos to come. Go ahead and leave a like if you like this video, and leave down in the comments if you've heard of Aradia, if you will be working with Aradia more often. And I hope you're having a good day wherever you are. Bye!